good y'all? Welcome to my review for Star Wars Episode 9. The Rise of Skywalker. The finale to the long-awaited, long-talked-about sequel trilogy. And the finale to the Skywalker saga. Yeah, we know this movie's been kind of hit and miss with a lot of people. Some people have said it's good, other people have said shit. Jeremy John said this is like the worst, like this is his least favorite Star Wars movie. I don't even know how the hell that's possible because my god, this is so much better than Attack of the Clones. It's not even funny. But I digress. So what did your boy think of The Rise of Skywalker? When I watched The Force Awakens, I said it was the greatest Star Wars ever made, especially upon multiple views. When I saw The Last Jedi, as I stated in my review, this is the greatest Star Wars movie ever made. Does the same hold true for The Rise of Skywalker? No. Because at first I was thinking about like, I might like this a little bit more than Last Jedi. And I was like, you know what, I need to rewatch Last Jedi again before I could really do this. But then, once I got home, finally returned back to Twitter, I looked up and one of the top, trending things was, thank you, Ryan Johnson. A bunch of people, of course, saying what they love about The Last Jedi. And after reading a little bit of that thread, I was like, yeah, The Last Jedi is way better. So, but, did I think this movie was bad? Hell no! This movie's fucking awesome! I got you, didn't I? Y'all thought I was gonna shit on you. Y'all thought I was gonna come in here super disappointed, be like, no, this movie was not as good as I expected or wanted it to be. Nah, man, I'm satisfied with this. Now, yes, I do have my problems with this film, not as I did with The Last Jedi, but I would not say it's as bad as everyone has said it to be. Do I see why a lot of people felt the way they did, like guys like Geekdom? Like Geekdom mentioned how this movie is like getting a blowjob from a pretty girl that has no idea what she's doing. After watching the movie, I can see why he thought that. I can see what he thought that now. Of course, this is a Star Wars. I am going to be as vague as possible. So, and I will be doing this now. I'm not going to do what I usually do, which has a separate spoiler discussion in the video. I'm actually going to do the whole separate video on that. So, this review here will be completely spoiler-free. So if you guys, for some reason, have yet to see The Rise of Skywalker, don't worry. If you guys want to know what I really thought of the movie, really get down and dirty with those spoilers, there'll be a separate video on that. So, let us get into it. So the movie is once again directed by J.J. Abrams and stars Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Carrie Fisher, which we gotta talk about, which I'm gonna be talking about later first and foremost once we get through all this. Adam Driver, Oscar Isaac, Ian McDiarmid, and of course, for the plot, well, being as big as possible, Kylo's doing a thing, Rey and the Resistance is doing a thing, and the Emperor's in there doing a thing. That's about as vague as I can be, and that is all I'm going to say about the plot. So, first off, let's bring up the elephant in the room, which is Carrie Fisher. Okay, now as we know, Carrie died, about like 3 years ago, before the release of The Last Jedi. And once we got around time for the Rise of Skywalker to get filmed and everything, J.J. Abrams mentioned that they would not be recreating her with CGI, they would not be like recasting her or none of that stuff. They said that what they were going to do was just reuse old footage or unused footage from The Force Awakens, and I believe The Last Jedi as well, and just splice it into here, and that's how Leia was going to be, Leia's going to get her conclusion to the story. And honestly, it's actually done really well. Like, if you, for people who probably watched the sequel trilogy, decades later when Carrie's death isn't well known, like, we all already knew when we came into, so yeah, Carrie's death, it's still fresh in our minds. But when people watch this 10 years later, 15 years later, who probably don't know that Carrie Fisher is indeed dead, or she died before before she died before this movie got released, or before it even got started, get shot before The Last Jedi even came out, you wouldn't really notice, because she doesn't really stick out, she doesn't really feel out of place, her matches up pretty well, which was actually kind of surprising, but I gotta call bullshit a little bit, because there are some scenes in here with Princess Leia where I'm like, where would you even have put put this in The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi. Like, I'm not going to get into specifics, but I feel like there was a couple times where they did recreate her with CGI. You know, at least a couple times for like a few scenes. I could be wrong. Maybe this was all on the cutting room floor for either film, and I could be wrong. Maybe either J.J. Abrams or fucking Rian Johnson had like forced premonitions that said Carrie Fisher's gonna die, so let's film all this random shit. You know, that could have very easily have been the case. I don't know. I wasn't there. But that's just my speculation because it feels that way. Because I'm like, I was watching the movie and seeing some of Carrie's scenes, and I'm like, where would you even have put this in The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi? But without further ado, without that out of the way, she was great. I loved seeing Carrie Fisher one last time as Leia, and it was great seeing her one last time. So let's talk about the movie itself. So let's get into my positives of the movie. Okay. Definitely, I gotta give huge props to both Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver. These two give amazing performances. Now, I'm not going to come in here and say these are Oscar-worthy performances. They weren't that good. But, yo, for Star Wars, these are probably some of the best we've seen, like, especially Daisy Ridley. Like, a lot happens with Rey in this film that I'm also not going to go into here. But Daisy Ridley is definitely on her A game for this film, and me personally, when it comes to Rey and the whole day, like, oh, is she a Mary Sue? Who the fuck cares? I like Rey. I think she's a cool character. Honestly, I think she's a lot better than a lot of people give her credit for, because, you know, there's a lot going on with Rey. She doesn't know who she is, what she is in this world, you know, and these 4 powers and everything. You know, like, now I'm not saying she's, like, super complex or anything, but, you know, I like Rey. I think she's a decent enough character for the Star Wars era. And by the female standards, she's definitely on the higher end, because when your competition is, the only other competition besides Leia is Padme, you know, that didn't really say much, because, you know, Padme had to deal, you know, Natalie Portman had to deal with George Lucas's god-awful writing, you know, and that god-awful romance dialogue with Attack the Clones. Ugh. Anyway, but with that all being said, I gotta give her a huge props to her. She was amazing. I really felt for Rey and was cheering on. Adam Driver was also fantastic as Kylo Ren. I love him as Kylo, especially when he has the mask back on. You know, I hear the voice modulator like he has the helmet. Oh, it's great stuff. Kylo's an absolute beast here. There was so many badass moments. Kylo, like there was this I'm not gonna say it, but there was like this one. Well, I guess that was a spoiler. He's in like this hall with a bunch of other like the higher ups of the First Order, whatever, and one of them like kind of starts questioning him. He just force chokes him and pushes him up into the room. That was hype. I absolutely love Kylo Ren, man. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I just love his design. And the overall relationship between Kylo and Rey in this movie was also really good. Like, I like how they were kind of like both are trying to get each other to each other's side. You know, it's like getting tense with their moments that they have. And throughout the movie, when, you know, especially when they have like some of their fights, you know, now I'm not gonna say come here and say the lightsaber fights were like the lightsaber fights were great in this film, but they weren't as good as some of the other fights were in previous films. Like, I think I preferred the Snow Calls fight, you know, the one in the red room and everything. I forget what that room was called, but that fight I think I actually liked a lot more than the ones here. The ones here are pretty good, but I think I might even like Rey's fight against Kylo in The Force Awakens maybe a little bit more as well. Well, maybe not that, but no, I think these were a little bit better, but these fights here were really good. Like the one they had, you know, with the raging waters and everything. The one that we kind of saw a little bit of the trails with Darth Vader's helmet. I'm not going to get too into even that. I actually got some issues with that fight a little bit and just how it kind of works, but I'll save that off for the spoilers discussion video. But yeah, the lightsaber fights were great. I really enjoyed them. The Emperor, for whatever little I could say, I liked him. I thought he was awesome. Ian McDiarmid back as the Emperor was great. Seeing him, you know, Emperor being the Emperor, it was great stuff. I love his new outfit, by the way. I love his new outfit. The black mixed with the red, and I also love the design of the Sith Troopers as well. You know, the rest of the cast is pretty good. You know, I already mentioned Carrie Fisher was good. John Boyega was great. You know, Oscar Isaac was great. You know, Lando. It's cool, nice seeing him. He's not in the movie that often. He only has like a couple scenes, but it was nice seeing Lando again. I like Lando. But yeah, the soundtrack. I gotta give huge props to the soundtrack. Actually, this honestly has to probably be The best, I would probably say this might actually be my favorite soundtrack that John Williams has done for Star Wars. Now, if I remember correctly, this is the last one. After this, he's like retired from Star Wars. Which, the man went out bang. I love the theme they have for Palpatine here. Like they have like this violin that goes, yeah, it's great stuff, man. I loved it. I saw this movie in IMAX. Great stuff. Highly recommend you guys check it out in IMAX. It was great stuff. Although, funny enough, when I went to see the movie in IMAX, they had the trailers. But wow, there were so many trailers for this movie. I don't know why there was as many trailers for, but like around the end of them, they actually played the prologue. I don't know if this is actually actual prologue of the film for Tenet. Christopher Nolan's next movie, which I was actually planning on doing a reaction to the trailer because I know it dropped recently, but they actually played like the prologue of the movie, IMAX screens and all, and I got to say, that was really good. It was shot beautifully, it looked amazing, and man, just great stuff. I'm definitely looking forward to watching it. I love me some Christopher Nolan. You guys know I loved Inception, The Prestige, the Dark Knight trilogy, obviously. Inception. Dare I say Inception? My voice said Inception, but yeah, I love Christopher Nolan, and Dunkirk as well. I love Dunkirk. Dunkirk was such a good movie. And yeah, man, I can't wait to see what this new one has in store. But anyway, back to Star Wars. So, John Williams' score was awesome. The lightsaber fights were pretty good. I love the performances from both Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver. They were both fantastic. The surprises in this movie were actually pretty surprising. Like, I did not see where they're going, but I can definitely say, without a shadow of a doubt, that J.J. Abrams can't come out and say, "Oh, we plan to use Palpatine from the start." Watching this movie, you can tell this is damage control. Like a lot of people were saying that the movie felt like two movies in one, which I can actually agree with that to an extent. The first half definitely felt like what J.J. Abrams would have done if he did Episode 8, and the second half definitely feels like Episode 9. And there's a lot of I like the surprises were pretty surprising, but they weren't as surprised as stuff like happened last Jedi, like when Snoke died. I did not see that coming from a mile away. I was like, oh my god, Snoke dies! Holy shit! That was some crazy stuff. The reveals here weren't as crazy as that, or wasn't as shocked as that. I mean, I was still pretty shocked because I didn't think they would go that route. But I was like, oh, but it wasn't like, oh, Snoke's dead. Well, this just got interesting, So yeah, like that. Like the plot definitely felt a little messy at times. Like they were trying to rush things. Do I think this movie would have helped if it was at 3 hours? Probably. It probably would have made the movie felt a lot more smoother, if you ask me. Like I already mentioned before, how now the Emperor being movie was great to see, but definitely you could tell it was kind of, I wouldn't say it's fourth, but you could definitely tell that wasn't the plan. And if there's one thing that is a major problem, I can definitely say with the sequel trilogy is that you could tell this trilogy was not planned out. You could tell that the movie, that how Kathleen Kennedy ran this, it was just like, let's select one dude, let's do JJ do episode 7 and then go from there. What Rian Johnson does after episode 8, we'll go from there. Instead of, we'll do this. Okay, this is what we're going to do in episode 7, this is what we're going to do in episode 8, this is what we're going to do in episode 9. JJ, Ryan, JJ, fill in the blanks between, If there's one reason why a lot of people haven't been a big fan of sequel trilogy, yet people love the MCUs, because Kevin Feige, he had that shit planned out. And I do hope with the next Star Wars trilogy we get in 2023, I believe is when the next one's, because before we get back to Star Wars, I hope Kathleen Kennedy takes the sequel trilogy as a learning experience and realizes, okay, now for the next trilogy, I don't know who's directed. I don't know if that's going to be Rian Johnson's trilogy or not, which I would love to. I can't wait to see Rian Johnson's trilogy. That's going to be awesome because I love The Last Jedi. But with that being said, I hope she does plan out the next trilogy she has for 2023 and onward. She plans it out, and it probably will end up being a lot smoother than the sequel trilogy ended up becoming. Because while I personally love the sequel trilogy, if you ask me, it's my favorite trilogy out of the three because the original trilogy I really only love one, like Empire Strikes Back. I think it's a masterpiece. The first, the New Hope, I think it's really good, but nothing really that expressive. Right, the Return of Jedi, I think is great as well. The prequel trilogy, I love The Phantom Menace. Can't stand Attack of the Clones, and the Revenge of the Sith is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. The sequel trilogy, love. Consistency. I love all three of the sequel trilogy movies, and they all have the same verdict. So, yeah, if you ask me which one of my favorite trilogy, I'm going to tell you the sequel trilogy, even though I grew up with the prequels. Because I'll take the sequel trilogy over the prequels any day, because at least then I don't gotta watch Attack of the Clones. But anyway, so now I do have some other problems with the movie and some other things that I'm kind of questioning about. Like, okay, Now, I know about the debate about Rey being a Mary Sue. A lot of people said she's overpowered, which I don't really think she is, because literally 90% of the Star Wars universe would whoop her ass. Obi-Wan, Master Yoda, Mace Windu. Like, people make her sound like she's Star Killer when they say, oh, she's overpowered, Rey is overpowered. No, she's not. Lifting rocks is not overpowered, in the second movie. But here, there were a couple abilities Rey is getting. Now, I know this movie takes place like a year after the events of The Last Jedi, but Rey does some stuff in this movie where I'm like, okay, this is getting kind of ridiculous. How do you know how to do this at your skill level? There's only a couple times where that happened where I'm like raising an eyebrow, like I was when Leia was flying through space in The Last Jedi, where I'm like, okay, now come on now, There was a couple moments like that with Rey, but nothing like super major, But yeah, that's about all I can say as far as my spoilers go. I've tried some. There's so much more I want to talk about, but I'm going to save that video. I'm probably going to end up recording that one tomorrow. So yeah, guys, I'm sorry, I want to go more detail, but you guys have to wait. If you want to know what I really think of the movie, go really in depth, we'll have to wait till let's see a spoiler discussion video I do. But anyway, so with everything out of the way, let's get to my final verdict and we'll end the video. So, overall, what would I give The Rise of Skywalker? I'm going to give this movie a 10 out of 10, because even though throughout a majority of the movie I was like, yeah, this movie feels kind of messy. I was invested, but not as invested as I was with like The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens. But once we get to that third act, man, it's fan service heavy. Yes, I'll admit, but hey, man, I love it, man. I mean, I wish you threw some more bones on the prequels, because we really got jack in this movie, except for maybe one or two things, But I loved it. The final act was amazing, man. Palpatine. With Palpatine and Rey, I loved that third act, man. It really saved and I loved how the ending was very Return of the Jedi-esque, the final battle was very Return of the Jedi-esque, which I love, because Return of the Jedi, at least that lightsaber fight between Luke and Darth Vader, is one of my all-time favorite lightsaber fights. I love that fight, man. I can watch that fight, anytime. I love it. I love how that The Rise of Skywalker kind of went in the same direction. Had a very similar fight. Was it as good? Maybe. I might actually low-key, but I would low-key probably say it's better just because of the fan service in there and what happens in it. But if you wanted me to really give you keep my biases aside, just looking at each one, I would probably say the Return of the Jedi one was a little bit better. But that's just me. But yeah, man, I love the ending. Thought it was great. A nice conclusion to the saga, if you at least ask me. Could have been better, yes. If the trilogy was actually planned out, could this movie have been a lot better than it actually was? Probably. But overall, I love the sequel trilogy. I thought this movie was awesome, and I would definitely highly recommend you guys check it out. If you're someone that loved The Last Jedi, I think you'll really enjoy this movie. If you're someone that hated The Last Jedi, I think you will not hate this one as much. You might actually come out enjoying it, honestly. But yeah, if you're someone that doesn't really like fan service, then this movie might turn you off. If you're someone like me, who's a big Star Wars fan, you like some fan service, then hey, you'll be good. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, flag it, at least down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.